Hello, hello, and welcome to my thought on this lovely, lovely Friday. Today I sold a painting, which is really unusual because I don't have them for sale, so I'm a very happy lady. But I was thinking about how this pandemic has made us all feel like we're victims and has made us all feel that we don't have control over our destiny. And now we have to wear masks, and that feels like an intrusion on our privacy and the way we um, present ourselves. Uh, the whole situation now with this pandemic and the terrible, terrible fear that's sweeping the world about the pandemic makes us feel that we're losing control of our lives. But that's not true because within any situation, you always have an area of choice and a way to make it work for you. And so I'm going to tell you a story. I tell you many, many stories, but I'm going to tell you another story. And this is one of my favorites. It's about my wonderful, wonderful woman I met, whom I'm going to call Pat. Um, she divorced her husband when she had two little boys. One was 5 and the other was 8. And I believe I have these dates right, these ages right. And she said to me, I decided I am not going to make my children pay for my bad judgment. So she divorced her husband. Her husband did not give her any support because in California, despite the fact that the laws are there, they do absolutely nothing to reinforce them, um, unless you want to spend a lot of money or you have important people, important people in important places. But the little people don't have a chance in California, and they do not in America, in my experience. So she was getting no support. So she moved in with her mother, whose name was Terry, and who was an absolutely lovely woman. I had the privilege of meeting her, and she was just special. And this is what Pat did. She got a job at night, um, driving for Avis Rent-A-Car, and she came home at 6 in the morning, uh, driving. She would take cars that were left in parking places and bring them back to the main office, and then she would get breakfast for the oldest child. He was in school, and then she would take the youngest, and she would take him with her when she went to do greeting card displays at Safeway Market, which is like our Sainsbury's here. Um, and she said, I wasn't going to send them, I wanted to be a stay at home mom because I didn't want to send them to daycare. And the reason I didn't want to send them to daycare is because they're so young, they're so little, that they can't explain what is wrong when something's wrong. And she's right, because I worked in daycare for years and years and years at the Jewish Community Center, and it was the little quiet ones that we overlooked. And if they needed something or they wanted something and they were too shy to ask, we never knew because we were dealing with the more aggressive children and trying to keep some kind of semblance of order. So that's what she did. And the oldest boy was in Cub Scouts. And Cub Scouts, it's a very fun thing for children to do in America, and I think they have it in England too, but they do, and it's wonderful. And the little boy, the little 5-year-old, was so excited about when he was 7, he was going to be a Cub Scout too. And he would try on his brother's uniform, and he would pretend that he was a Cub Scout. When he became 7, uh, Pat called the school to find out who was in charge of the Cub Scout troop, and there was no Cub Scout troop. So she became the Cub Scout leader with a member of one. They give you a little handbook, and she did all the things you're supposed to do with her one little son. And she stayed a Cub Scout uh, master and head counselor for many, many years after. And that's how I met her, because I was writing a story for Coast Views magazine about the Boy Scouts and the Cub Scouts. But I said, so what else happened while you were bringing up? Because that was a tough life. You were up all night, and then you were with the little boy and then she said I would send him to afternoon if he was going to school. I would send him to school. He was 5, so she would have sent him to kindergarten. He would have gone for half days. She said, well, I wanted to be with him, so in the summer, I would quit whatever job I had, and I bought an old Volkswagen bus, and I would take them camping for the whole 3 months of the summer. She said we didn't have any money, So we didn't have any entertainment. But at night, I would read to them, and we would cook out, and we would explore California, which is beautiful. If anybody's not seen Northern California, it's absolutely gorgeous. I always remember being on the freeway, and I would say to myself, never ever forget that you have lived in this exquisite, exquisite environment. So she would take them there, and she would read to them at night. And she said, and I showed them that you don't need to have a lot of money to have a lot of fun. And that's what she did. And she did that until they were grown up. And she was a Cub Scout leader, and then she was a Boy Scout leader, and she continued doing that. And now I have no idea. By this time, this was many years ago, the boys are grown up. I know that Terry is no longer with us. I think that Pat is living in the house, and I think that she's found herself another partner. But what she did is she took a life that looked absolutely impossible, because I've heard so many divorced women with children say, well, what can I do? I have no money. I'll have to get a job. I'll put the children in daycare. I've come home. I'm tired. I don't even want to talk to them. She didn't do that. She devoted because she said, those children didn't ask to be born. They didn't ask, I owe them. And so she took care of them. So that's my story of what to do when life challenges you and you feel that all the rules are rules that you don't want to follow. Find a path that you can. You can do it. My friend Pat did. And that's my thought for today. Thank you so much.